This is Behind the Kit.
All right. Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Behind the Kit. This is Doug Meola. It's great to be back with you tonight. Hope that everyone's having a great night so far. Wanted to get into some information about drum shells tonight. We had a number of comments and inquiries regarding drum sounds and what shells, what type of woods or materials will give drummers a particular type of sound. So if you're looking for a brighter sound or a louder sound or a warmer tone, of course, the type of material that your drum is made of is going to influence that greatly. So thought we'd just give an overview. Of course, this is a huge topic. There's a lot we can get into when it comes to talking about wood shell materials and construction. So just thought we'd give an overview, and we can pick up on some more of the details in future segments of Behind the Kit. So generally with drum shells, we're most familiar with wood. We have metal, which is becoming more and more popular even for drum kit shells. We have synthetics like fiberglass, acrylic, carbon fiber, and then there's a bunch of different types of synthetic hybrid materials that people are now using to build drums with. In general, the wood shells are going to offer us more warmth. Metal shells have a tendency to be a little brighter and louder with a little more overtones. Obviously, what the shells are made out of is going to influence the overall sound of your drum kit immensely. So we have to consider what you're really looking for as an overall sound and vibe. Another thing to consider about the sound is the shell thickness, or if you're using wood shells, the number of plies that it may have, how deep the drums are, the diameter, how the bearing edges are angled, if the drums have reinforcement rings in them, or what type of rims or hoops are on the drums. All these things are obviously going to have a huge impact on the sound of the drums. The harder and more dense the shell material is, the more evenly it's going to vibrate. And of course, when it vibrates evenly as a whole, it helps to create even tones when we strike the drum head so that the shell vibrates and gives us a great tone. As far as shell thicknesses go, thinner shells tend to have a fatter sound with a deeper pitch, and they tend to be a little bit warmer. Thicker shells tend to be a little more higher in pitch and louder, and of course they project a little bit better. For a higher fundamental pitch and more projection, obviously, thicker shells are going to be the way to go. When it comes to metal shells, they're typically thinner than wood shell drums. And of course, there are, variations to that. I've seen some really thick brass snare drums, so there are exceptions, but typically metal shells are going to be a little thinner than wood shells. And of course, the depth of the shells and the diameter of the shells are going to affect the overall sound. Larger drums are going to tend to be a little louder. Smaller drums are going to be a little more precise and give you a little more attack and crispness, but won't be as loud. And of course, the diameter of the drum affects its pitch. So smaller drums are going to be higher pitched, of course, than larger drums, and usually a little quieter and more bright sounding than larger drums. Of course, there's tons more to talk about regarding drum shells, but we just want to give you the basic properties of different shells and different materials, and we'll get into more specifics and details on these in future segments of Behind the Kit. Once again, this is Doug Meola. Thanks so much for listening. I hope that you have an awesome night. Enjoy the show. Have a great week, and I will see you next week on Behind the Kit. Take care.